Welcome to Street Psychology Podcast. Today's guest is Natalie Bedard. She's known as Nat Nat, and she talks about emotional healing through the nervous system. She's the founder of the podcast called Lift Oneself. She takes a trauma-informed lens, and she supports individuals on their path to emotional sobriety. She helps them regulate their nervous systems, release emotional pain, and return to themselves. Thank you again, Natalie, for being here today.
I'm looking forward to doing a deep dive and connecting with you. We were going through all the buzzes of technology and everything else beforehand. So I think we're really going to have a really intimate, raw, connecting conversation that will really translate to the listeners. So thank you for having me here.
Yeah, I know. It's my pleasure. Yeah. How did you want to get started today?
Would you join me in a mindful moment? Because we were a little spiraling and everything else, so that we can meet ourselves and ground ourselves. And I can also let the listeners know and see what a mindful moment can do for themselves.
I would love to do that.
Okay. So for the listeners, I'm just going to give a safety spiel. When I ask to close your eyes, many will listen to a podcast while driving. So keep your eyes open, safety first. Yet the other prompts, you're able to follow through with whatever you're doing. Sylvia, I'll ask you to get comfortable in your seating. And if it's safe to do, you're going to gently close your eyes, or you're going to soften your gaze. And you're just going to begin breathing in and out through your nose if it's comfortable to do. If not, you're just going to breathe. And you're going to bring your awareness to watching your breath go in and out. You're not going to try and control your breath. You're just going to be aware of its rhythm. Seeing if it's like in your chest, if possibly you're holding it. Feeling it come into your nostrils. Feeling the exhale out of your mouth. And allowing that rhythm to guide you into your body. Now there may be some sensations or feelings coming out, and that's okay. You're safe to feel. You're safe to let go. Surrender the need to control. Release the need to resist, and just be with your breath. Drop deeper into your body. Now there may be some thoughts or to-do lists that have popped up in your mind, and that's okay. Gently bring your awareness back to your breath, creating space between the awareness and the thoughts, and dropping deeper into the body, into being, into the moment. Again, more thoughts may have popped up. Gently bring your awareness back to your breath, beginning again, creating even more space between the awareness and the thoughts, and completely surrendering into the body, into the moment, giving yourself permission to just be guided in that breath, allowing yourself to just let go of whatever control or trying to figure out. Where? Just finding some ease. Now, wherever you are in your breathing rhythm, I'm going to ask you to exhale. And now you're going to breathe in through your nose. Hold it. And do an exhale out of your mouth, letting it all go. Again, another deep inhale. Hold it. And a gentle exhale out of your mouth, letting it all go. Now coming back to a natural rhythm of your breath. When you're ready, at your own time and at your own pace, you're going to gently open your eyes while staying with your breath.
Wow, can't even talk. I need to come back, Nat. That was like waking up. I feel completely different.
This is the power we have. And it was 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, maybe.
Whew. So people think meditation needs to be this long process. But can you explain more about what just those 2 minutes can do for you?
It allows you to engage with your nervous system, to allow yourself to validate yourself, to allow witnessing, to allow your emotions to come up and the energies and not get tangled in them, not shove them down, not suppress them, let them pass through. And also see that you have the power of not having to identify with your thoughts, that you can create a space. But a lot of times we're in our head and we think we're our thoughts, and they hijack our behavior and our actions, and then we pinch ourselves off from really being in our wholeness. So doing these mindful moments allows you to come back and take charge of facing that nervous system, facing the fear. We're in a society that tells us not to be in fear and don't feel fear, where of course you're going to have fear. Like, that's the one function the nervous system has. Yet let's validate it so it doesn't hijack our behaviors and has us spiraling and looping in stories in our minds, that we can be present in the moment right now.
Yeah, because it all comes back to avoidance of thoughts, feelings, and that's rooted in fear. So this is the root of your work.
Yeah. It's actually creating a space that people can start to be mad scientists with their own biology and start validating their own experiences. Where a lot of people think that they're broken, where it's so broken means it's an end and the story, there's no more. Where, yeah, there's a breaking, and a lot of people don't realize you're breaking open. And that is a ground where resilience can grow and you can go into a space of growth. It doesn't feel good. I've been in that breaking open many a times, and I've felt like I was broken. I felt like there was brokenness, yet it's really using the power of your perception. But that takes cultivating tools and better understanding. So my space that I create is allowing emotions to be in the space, especially those big emotions that some people have never been able to process because they weren't allowed when they were younger. For instance, tears, especially for men, weren't allowed. Anger was always chastised because it was said you're not allowed to be that. Being able to ask for your needs, it wasn't allowed because it was shown that you weren't grateful. So being able to, whatever the array of emotions, and allowing them to come up, and you being able to process, not suppress or bypass. It's really just holding a space for it so that clarity can come up and that authentic voice and discernment can come up. It's really understanding what your nervous system and learning to ride that nervous system, not letting it be an automatic pilot. The work is, I always have a type of meditation in all of my sessions. And sometimes it's only 2 minutes, sometimes it's 20 minutes. It depends on where the individual is for that. Yet the biggest part is being honest. And I think in a space that we don't even know how to be honest, a lot of us put on a mask, myself, the mask of I'm okay, I'm fine, and let me hold the space, where it's, no, the vulnerability needs to be there, and the tears and explaining everything that we're going through. And finding the solutions in that, not getting stuck in that victim mentality, because victim mentality is very comfortable. And sometimes we don't even know that we slipped into that kind of identity because we're justified. There's a lot of things that could have happened and you're justified to be in that. Yet there's no real power in that. Your power is within what is the choice. This happened. Okay, we're not able to make meaning. We're not able to justify why it happened. All there is, this happened. Now, how are you choosing to show up? What are you going to do with that? I call it alchemy. You're going to take these impurities that don't make sense and you're going to transmute them into gold. Now, when you've transmute them into gold, are you going to keep it only for yourself or are you going to share it with others? Either or, it's fine. It's just being able to do that transmutation of the impurities and not just repeating the same cycle, which is warrior work. Because when you've been harmed from other people or things are going on, those intrusive thoughts want to get revenge. They want to retaliate. They want to shut things down. Yet you want to be able to still have your heart open and making choices in this moment. And sometimes it's love says no and you have to put space by with somebody, or you have to better understand how you're treating yourself.
Yeah, and a big part of your work is trauma. Yeah, and trauma, it does show up, like you said, even when we don't notice it.
Yeah.
In our behaviors,
it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And you have to thank trauma. Trauma was there to protect you. It feels like a real inconvenience because now that you're an adult, you're into patterns and habits that stop you from processing your emotions, from being able to come out of the protective mechanisms. Say, for instance, trauma where you learned to eat to be able to cope with whatever your situation was because it didn't feel safe. And so now when you have to relate with, the feeling of feeling unsafe, I just don't want the food because my nervous system is flooding with all kinds of chemicals looking for that safety. So it's not chastising the food. It's not chastising your action. It's asking yourself, what is going on that's making it feel unsafe? Where is the ground that you can create to start feeling that safety? And so if it's slow by, I still got to eat the food, okay, yet be mindful with it and ask your body, where is the safety? A lot of times we're taught this all or nothing and we're here to chastise trauma and get rid of trauma, where it's a mechanism, part of your nervous system that protected you, yet it imprisons you also. So it's learning to allow that defense mechanism to open up and be like, okay, I can process, I can take care of myself. There is safety that I can create within myself and that I don't have to go seeking it on the outside. And for some that have complex trauma, that never had a safe environment, that's warrior work to go through because you never got proper attachment with anybody. You didn't get to co-regulate with somebody. So that's why working with somebody helps with that co-regulation until you can start self-regulating.
And it's hard for people who didn't experience trauma to open up in that kind of way. People who have this trauma, those repetitive thoughts, those limiting beliefs, I imagine would you say it's exceptionally difficult to break through?
Oh, of course. Huge. Because I just finished writing my manuscript. I'm shopping for an editor and it's called The Gift Wrapped in Sandpaper, Your Untamed Power. And how I describe the nervous system is like a wild stallion. And so we know the power of a stallion. And when the stallion wants to do something, it's going to charge through. So when your nervous system feels unsafe and it's in fight or flight, freeze or fawn, it's going to flood you with all kinds of information that are really grounded in negative bias. And so when we can start to interrupt and recognize, I'm really in negativity, I'm in that, and actually call out, I'm feeling unsafe, then you can start to work through what does that force field look like and start penetrating through it a little by little. Yet it takes a willingness. See, a lot of times people want to just do this and they were like, it has to be hard and it has to be hardest. And not necessarily. It's just the work needs to be the willingness to go into unknown because you've been so accustomed to being in that limitation, in that negative bias, that chaos feels like home. To come out of that feels very foreign and unsafe. Yet you have to rewire your nervous system to know that the unknown, the uncertainty is the safety. but your nervous system wants to predict things, so it's going to predict the worst outcomes. And that can be really exhausting for people. They're like, what's the point? That's why the exercise that we did with the mindful moment and interrupting with our breath to validate what we're feeling internally and normalize it and give it some language, and also presenting there's another possibility. There's another way of maneuvering through this and creating the practices and the tools.
Yeah, another way. And one way is just by recognizing it, letting those feelings, like you said, validating the feelings. Sometimes, would you say when one, especially in a trauma response, when they validate that feeling and say, I'm going to let it sink in, that maybe that causes this kind of adverse reaction. It's not always calming.
Oh yeah, it's not always a calm because, like I said, it's a stallion, so it's going to buck. I don't feel safe. It's like if anybody have seen a horse, and when it's wild and you're trying to connect with it, it takes some time before it reads if you're safe or not. It's going to buck, it's going to move around until there's a connection. And then all of a sudden you're able to integrate the two. Many of us want to bypass our humanness because it's messy and uncomfortable. So a lot of people go into spiritual bypass. They go into mindset bypass. We're just going to overcome. Yet a lot of times when they get into that script, they're not able to even get off of that and really feel the compassion for themselves, because they're always running away from the intimacy of feeling their authentic emotions and allowing there to be a space for that messiness, that tenderness. Yet that's very vulnerable. And many of them don't want to be in that vulnerable state because it feels like a threat. Yes, of course, when people have experienced significant trauma and when they're starting to relate with this, it's big reactions that go on. And that's why with my trauma-informed experience and personal lived experience also, I'm able to co-regulate, and I can read people's bodies and seeing where can we stretch a little, or where is it just we have to just offload. And it's just cleansing out, just puking things out and everything else to be there. So it's not a prescription that, okay, we're going to do this and this. I never know what's going to transpire in our sessions because it depends on what the individual is bringing in and what their lived experience is. And all of a sudden they could have been wanting this, but something else, the body wants something else to process. So having that sacred space and being able to read that nervous system and understand when those intrusive thoughts, when the protective mechanisms coming in, let's breathe and bring the somatic. A lot of times in my sessions, I'm always bringing people, I'll actually do it with you right now, LaSylvia. What are you feeling in your body right now?
Maybe a little bit of tension. Don't know why. I would say upper shoulder area.
Okay. Bring your awareness to it. And just try to lean in and drop into your body. And feel into that tension. Now, bring your awareness to asking the tension what it wants to communicate to you. And whatever flutters up, just let it flutter up and don't analyze it. Just listen. While staying in your breath. And then noticing if the tension moves somewhere else in your body or if some other physical sensation has popped up in your body. And if it has, bring your awareness there. And then ask it what it wants to communicate to you. Now what I'm going to ask you to do is take your hand and place it on your chest. And just feel that hand against your chest and feel how you're holding yourself. And let that tension be met with you holding you, validating you, and letting yourself know that you're safe. And it's okay that the tension's there. When it's ready to move, then it'll move. It just letting there be a little bit more communication of what the body wants to tell you. And if you can, take a deep breath all the way down to your belly. And a big exhale. Another big deep breath in again, opening up the space. And big exhale. Does it have verbiage? Does it have language?
For me right now, since this tense muscle in my back, it's been an ongoing nagging thing. It's telling me I need to go get it. I need to go to that chiropractor I've been putting off.
There you go. It's that simple. But we ignore that. And like you just said, I've been putting it off.
Yeah, it is a form of communication. And it's something we already know. That the things that we feel in our bodies, take that moment to feel it, make space for it. We know what it's saying.
Some people don't even know how to listen to that, though.
Yeah.
They don't hear what it's saying because they're so disassociated out of their body that they're just letting go.
How do you work with that barrier, that blockage?
I have a gift of non-judgment and that people feel safe to be seen. So as we're strangers and you felt comfortable enough, we're live on your podcast. It's very vulnerable and intimate to do this kind of work that we just did. Yet you had a willingness. And so when people have a willingness, they're able to start to look at that. And when they're perfectionists, the perfectionist part of their mind wants to impress or perform, I ask them to surrender that and just be with what's here right now. And so the barrier is being able to just be as present as you can. If you don't feel anything in your body, that's okay. It's not safe to communicate right now. Yet at least you're willing to go into it a little by little. Because how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I can't work, I am not able to work with people that aren't willing. I want to, and I'm sure I could bring some insights, but we're just going to keep banging into a certain perspective because the willingness is needed to find that safety within yourself.
So when people come to you, generally I would expect them to be willing or to believe they are.
Yeah.
Have you had clients where they've signed up, they believed that they were willing, and then you found out that they don't seem like they're ready?
Yeah, of course. I'm very genuine in the work that I do, and it's very sacred work. And I don't want to bring people in spaces that they're not ready for. Mm-hmm. When we have more and more self-awareness, it opens up things that you can't unsee anymore about yourself. And sometimes ignorance is bliss. We don't want to see because we're not in a space to have the ability to do the accountability work. And so I think that's very cruel to bring somebody into a space that they don't have the tools or equip or don't even have the energy to start doing that work. So having to decline certain clients, yes, I've had to do that because that willingness wasn't there. And a lot of times people are looking for saviors, and I'm not a savior. I'm not a guru. I'm here to let you see about your own nervous system and start creating the practices within yourself and holding that space so that you can start stepping little by little in that unknown and uncertainty and out of that limitation. And that I hold the energy of that fear. And then when you go out, you're able to put it into practice. And sometimes some clients, it takes several months for them to really get the lived experience in doing it in real time, the practices. And other ones, they're like, I'm diving right in. Whatever we said, boop, boop, boop. In our next session, it's, yeah, I did this. And I'm like, wow, you really got engaged with it. Where other clients, they're like, no, I'm not ready yet. I just looping and it's okay. Let's engage more and be there and everything else. And then there's other ones that it's just, they're not willing. So the work isn't going to, it's not going to translate.
So with that being said, when you said maybe they're not ready, they're not even in a space, they don't have the tools to access that, would you recommend they spend some time in therapy first, or?
Yeah, a lot of times too, the work that I do, it's accompanying therapy. As you saw, like my work goes beyond therapy. It really goes into the somatic and the nervous system. A lot of my clients that have done therapy, when they do my sessions, they're like, in 2 sessions, they're like, this was like 2 years of my therapy all wrapped in that I have better understanding of myself, and that I can start to see that there's nothing wrong with me, and it's not that I'm not good enough, because we get told we're not good enough, we're not there yet, we didn't achieve yet, we don't know, where it's, okay, I'm going to start making sense of my own experiences rather than having other people validate or explain it to me. So what my work wants to do with people is to create that autonomy with themselves and that trust within themselves, so that they can start feeling the wholeness with a W instead of holes.
I like that. And one thing, the way you put it earlier, I really like that, where you said you feel broken, but being broken opens you up to new possibilities.
And it's all about language, because broken, there's nowhere else to go from that. But breaking is a continuous verb.
Yeah.
It's all about perception and how you're going to see it. And a lot of times when somebody feels broken, the story's done. Say with grief. Yes, grief is an ending. Something died and it's no longer there. I'm going to use the example of Jamaica right now because I have family. My roots are in Jamaica. And so right now there's a lot of feeling of brokenness. People have lost homes, their safety, everything. They're like down bare minimum. And so there can feel like this brokenness. What I truly appreciate about the island and the resilience is that they know that there's a breaking and we will get back up. We will strive and unite. Where some people can't even fathom that. I can't. I can feel it in my DNA of what that looks like. And I've been in that rock bottom place many times. And when I go in there, I'm like, oh my God, not this place again. However, to really fathom, like, my house is gone, my furniture, my clothes, and I have children that are dependent on me, and I got to figure this out with no social programs, no food banks. I'm stuck somewhere where it's a rural area and nobody can even get to us. So we have to try to forage on the land, but everything's been blown away from the land. So it's really some like caveman, prehistoric, trying to be resourceful and Minecraft stuff. However, it's all about the perception and processing and allowing yourself to discern and go within. That's why faith is so important. Faith isn't when everything's going right or wish that it will go your way. It's help me in the storms to still see what is possible that I don't even know that it's there. And that takes a lot of guidance. It takes a lot of strength to activate that. But a lot of times people use faith as a genie in a wishing well. They don't really use faith in the real point of, when it's not going my way, can I still keep my heart open? Can I still find the guidance within and not the shutting down, which is justified? When it's heavy, of course you want to eject, I'm done, I don't want to do it anymore. Where it's okay, how can we process all of this and find what the solutions are?
Yeah, and you said yourself, because you even get back to that place sometimes where you shut down a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, a lot. If I didn't have the tools and practices, no, I totally get it. That's why I get sometimes you hear people, I got rid of it and there's no more. And it's like, okay, that might be your experience, but the norm of what a nervous system is, and when you've experienced significant trauma, it's like, it's a visitor coming back to visit. And it depends on how you're going to receive it. Are you going to shut it down and be like, you're not allowed in here? Or are you going to let it in and ask, okay, so you're here again. What is it that you want to tell me? What is the information? Yet you don't have dominion over this place. So you're able to visit, but recognize you're a visitor. You don't have the ruling to take over the behavior and the hijacking and all that. So at times when I have to do bed rotting and be in the stillness and let myself process, my mind's no, be productive, go get, and it's no, I got a bed rot right now because there's some deep things that need to be processed and felt right now. And then get back up.
Yeah, so allow yourself those periods of rest, because some people, they feel bad about that too, right? They're hard on themselves when that happens.
Because we're told it's awful too, and especially high functioning. Woo, high functioning is very alluring and it's a great addiction.
Yeah, but it's unhealthy.
Yep.
Especially for trauma, for past trauma, because that's one way to really not have to focus on your thoughts and your feelings. Don't think about it. Create things for yourself to do that just makes it worse.
Yet your body keeps score. It catches up at some time. Why illnesses pop up.
Do you work with a lot of clients with illnesses, chronic pain and stuff?
Yeah, that was I still have to deal with some chronic pain because of the lesions in my brain 11 years ago.
Okay.
And so I understand what that feels like too. So when I speak with people, I think, what translate is I'm not just talking out of theory or a textbook. I'm talking from lived experience so that people feel relatable, and it's, oh, you get it because you've walked the walk. I'm not just talking, I've walked the walk.
Yeah. Is that when this started for you, where you said you needed to do something different? Is it 11 years ago when you were going through the lesions and stuff, like trying to make it through?
I was told I only had 3 to 6 months to live.
Wow.
And then I was in the hospital for almost 40 days. They did a battery of tests to the point that they transferred me from one hospital to the next, and they were going to do a brain biopsy because everything kept coming back atypical. Yet they said, you know what, we're not going to do a brain biopsy because that could come back still atypical and we could not have any more information, yet we could do damage to your brain because we took out a part that will impact it. So I was released from the hospital without a diagnosis. So without a diagnosis means you don't have a plan and you don't have resources. So I was out in the wilderness. So I get what wilderness feeling and that the medical system feels like it's not serving you. Yet I understand also that I needed that experience to really dive deeper into that nervous system. So a year after I was released from the hospital, that's where I learned meditation. And that's where I really dove in deep into that nervous system and really got into the somatic and released a lot of the charges from my own trauma that I experienced as a child and throughout the decades, and really allowed the wisdom to come through. So when I explain things, it sounds very simple, and people are like, how can you make something that's so complex be so simplified? And it's because we haven't been taught to really inquire about our biology. And we're all riding in a nervous system. Every human has a nervous system. That's your operating system. But we're not taught about it. We're taught about looking at other things, and we're taught about building up the systems. But it's, wait, how do I understand my own system?
Yeah. When you say building up the systems, you mean outside of the body systems?
Infrastructures, yeah. Like the systems, like institutions. And the world is made up in a way that is luring us away from what is necessary. It's luring us of the industrial complex has created so much comfort and safety that we're at a point that is turning into a malignancy, that we don't even know what to do and we keep perfecting, where now it's starting to add damage. And where that infrastructure has to start breaking open because we're losing our connection with humanity. We're losing our ability to see each other. All we're looking at is the productivity, the money, the innovation. And it's, wait a minute, is that all we need? Because we're looking for safety and the success and the accolades and the attention, that we get so disconnected from actually seeing a human being in front of us.
And what that's doing is it's making it harder for us to regulate our nervous systems. That's one way of saying it, because we kind of, it's almost like we don't have time anymore to
Right?
we don't.
Wasn't technology made here for humans to have a simpler life? But it's like we're in competition with technology and we can't keep up with it because it processes in a way that we're not to process in that way. We're made to intake all of this social media information from around the world.
Right.
We're not. Our brains are not made for that. So when you're all of a sudden looking at a cute TikTok of a cat, and then you thumb, and then you're seeing the war in Sudan, then you thumb and you see a baby gurgling, then you thumb and then you see flooding in Jamaica, then you thumb and then you see police brutality, then you thumb and then you see ISIS, then you thumb and then you see, oh wait, there's a tsunami in Japan, then you thumb and there's another cat video, and then there's another baby, but then there's this, and then there's that. Where are you finding safety?
Wow. Even if you felt safe before, after all of that, repetitively, there is no safety.
And then when you feel unsafe, you feel like you have to know everything. Like people are so addicted to the news because they feel like they can predict and control when there's no control.
Whew.
It's a distraction.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're also suggesting that people stay away as much as possible from those things if they're really going to get into their bodies.
Be mindful of what you're intaking by food, what you're intaking by liquids, but what you're intaking with your visual and your hearing. Be mindful of what your system can handle. People, they're like, I can't watch any news. I can't. And I would say ignorance is not bliss. Being informed is necessary. Yet you have to build a stability and a foundation of, okay, how am I processing it? If you start spiraling and getting dysregulated, then you're not able to tolerate that. Yet also build up your system so that you can walk in the world and not shy away from things. Like for me, watching all the stuff in Jamaica, it's activating my system and I feel it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then my mind goes to, okay, that's great that some hotels have closed down. And then my mind goes, well, are the employees still being paid though? And then seeing that, oh, there's some people that are without housing, yet are we going to be concerned about the people that are going to use this as an advantage and bring violence and start robbing people because it's already happening, to start scamming people because it's already happening, because that's human nature? So not looking away from the things that are realistic. A lot of people want a utopia and only see the greatness in the world. Yet you have to be able to see it all to be able to see the full picture, the full spectrum. But be mindful of your addictions. It's an addiction to get activated. The nervous system doesn't like peace and boredom. Right. Even though we ask for it, it doesn't like it. Because ask somebody to be without their phone or electronics and just go sit in nature. I bet you they're like, after 5-10 minutes, nah, I can't. This is too much.
Yeah. Yeah, because naturally, it happens naturally for us if we're alone or just in that moment of silence, feelings start to come up.
Yep.
It's just a natural part of our nervous system. And it's just the fact that we don't know how to regulate it. That's the problem. We don't know how to accept it and keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get into this after your journey? What did you find?
What did I find? I found a lot. I found a lot of my addictions, my numbing. When I learned meditation, it was through transcendental meditation, which they call TM. And they teach you that you have to create a quiet space in your house and meditate twice a day, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening or afternoon, so that you get good regulation. I was a solo parent to 5-year-old twin boys. Ain't no silence going on, okay? So I brought the meditation to the couch. And so I had to listen to them fight And then I could see the part where, oh, this one is a victim. This one is the perpetrator. This one's hurting that one. This one's in pain. Let me chastise this. Let me chastise that. But it was like, return back to your breath. Don't get involved in that. Don't get involved in that, because I was trying to control and change the situation. So meditation on the couch allowed me to recognize what was making me feel dysregulated. I took a year of no spending. And spending is another addiction.
Yeah.
I took celibacy, not having any sex, not getting into any relationships, because I had to deal with my own father wound. Then I had to recognize, take away. Alcohol really just dropped off, which I'm really even surprised now, because even when there's been high stress, I'm like, why am I not reaching for a drink? Like, it's just the norm, and it's a nice coping, and I have no thirst for that anymore, which I still am in a maze. Yet I put myself through boot camp of the meditation, the silent days when the twins were like 6 and 7, could understand more. I would tell them, like, today, mommy's not talking. So you didn't do anything wrong. I'm just not talking. And when we don't talk, we get to see our inner dialogue and how we want to interrupt and say things about people. So I brought myself through really boot camp places.
Yeah. So the not talking part, because I know there are those retreats like that, and I've heard a lot of good things about them.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah, and
they're
you
wonderful.
You pulled it off in home with 5-year-olds.
Because I had no choice. I was a solo mom. I had death on my back, and I had nowhere else to go. I only had to go within. If I would have had another escape, I always wonder in my mind, if I was given a diagnosis, I might have created an identity around it and used it as an excuse not to do the work. But because I didn't have a diagnosis, I had nowhere to go, and it was death.
Huh. Yeah.
Let me not run from myself.
Yeah. So that fear that comes along with death too had a lot to do with it.
And I have a really different relationship with death. Like last year, I was in hospice with my friend. We had did 18 months of a cancer journey. She was told she was only going to live 3 months. Yet me by her side, she lived for 18. And then she was in hospice for 9 days. No eating, no drinking. We were just waiting for the body to die. She was in a type of coma. And I was there 24/7 holding her. And I held her while she took her last breath. I put her in the body bag. I went to the cremation. I pushed the button. I did all of that. And I'm even amazed with that aspect of holding space with that and wondering why I didn't look away. Where other people, they couldn't tolerate that. It was too emotional and it was too much for them. Where I leaned into it. And because I had been told I was going to die possibly, and being in that hospital bed 11 years ago, I had a totally different relationship with death and what the narration and the belief system I had with it. So I recognized, oh, I don't have control over, if it's my time, it's my time. I can try and do all the things I want to. I could be all fitness and everything else and then get hit by a bus. Or I could not eat properly, smoking, and live till I'm 100. And then when I started seeing different narrations, it's that death didn't make sense. And then that death didn't make sense. And then this, and we're told to do this. Yet some people do it and it still doesn't happen properly. So it's, oh, how do I take control of my own action and use time as a tool and not a toy? As that time is created from within me. And how am I being intentional with it?
Being intentional with your time.
And your energy.
And your energy. Being present in moments, not surviving.
Processing. Yeah, and processing your emotions in real time.
Yeah, because like everything, it becomes easier over time. It takes a lot of time in the beginning, but then it's going to get easy.
Like how I'm speaking this is 11 years in, and I had death on my door, and I had 2 babies that were depending on their mom. I couldn't walk. I couldn't formulate thoughts. I couldn't do a lot of things. Yet I made a decision, like, my babies need me. So I got to get up. And then my mom was here and my oldest son. Yet I was like, I have to start working this body and start figuring this out and start working at this, because I have to get this body back in homeostasis. But it was a lot of pain, especially my pain was in the way that energy would shut off. So all of a sudden, I could feel, the light, I was like, I still remember this memory. And I think I wrote it in the book, where the twins were in the bathtub and all of a sudden I could feel all the energies leaving me and nobody was in the house. So I was like, okay, boys, you have to get out of the bath. I know you're having fun, but we have to get out. We have to get out. And getting them out and just having them get dressed and everything else. And then just lying in bed and asking them, like, be in bed with mommy, because my energy was gone. And that broke my heart, because I was taking a really great moment from my twins that they were enjoying themselves and having to cut it off because my body wasn't functioning. So there was a lot of a friction relationship with my body, being angry that I wasn't having the ability to really be present in certain moments and that my energy could shut off at any time. Yet I really had to learn to love my body and love the illness and love what my reality was and work with it, because fighting it just drains out the energy even more. And then you miss out on your opportunities of being present. It's a lot of work. And like I said, I put myself through not having sex. I put myself through no alcohol. So I took away all of the things that I took myself off social media. So I really created a space where I couldn't run from myself anymore. And what store was the most difficult to go to?
Which store? For you?
The dollar store.
To stop going to the dollar store?
I would go to the dollar store, but no spending.
Oh, to no spending. But you'd go there, but not to spend. That would be difficult. So did you go there just as a way of training yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can remove something, but all of a sudden when it comes back, those cravings and things are going to be there. So you have to learn, why am I not spending? And using, I forget who created that, but the why. So asking myself, why do I want to spend this? Why do I need this? Is this a need? Why is it a need? When are you going to use this need? Because we can buy something and we can say, yeah, we'll use it. It has use. Everything has use, yet is it a need? Are you going to use it right now? What are your need right now? Because how many things do we have that we haven't used, but we'll get to it eventually?
Yeah. Gosh, I don't even want to think about that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's discipline. It takes discipline.
And asking, why are you reaching for this?
Okay, yeah, why?
Why are you reaching for this? Is this needed right now? And a conversation with yourself. And it might feel like these are long conversations. These can be like a 1-minute conversation with you in yourself. Catching yourself and interrupting, being awake, being present with yourself. Because we're in automation all the time. There's a lot of times we do things and we're asleep to it and don't even know. I bet you a lot of people drive home and they're like, I don't even know what really way I got back home.
Yeah. They're not really experiencing things like that autopilot we talked about. Yeah. So it's about awareness, asking yourself the important question of why, and then tending to that why in a healthier way.
Yeah. Meeting it, because there's something underneath that you haven't been able to integrate. You haven't been able to face and look at it. Shattered parts, those splintered parts that are looking for your attention. You're like, you're too much of an inconvenience. I don't want to deal with you. Yet, once we shine our light of awareness on those dark parts, then all of a sudden we can start the integration.
Yeah.
And
be whole with a W. So I want to say, first of all, I see that it's way past 3 to 6 months or however long for you.
Yeah.
And I'm, for one, happy about that. I would not be sitting here with you today
Yes.
And I want to say that is a display of the strength and the power of the mind, what you're talking about. Because it sounds like to me, this journey you took helped heal you.
Oh yeah, big time. I'm still healing.
And
patterns still come up. And then I just refine more of my patterns. More of the one thing about trauma, you can offload and remove all the charges of the past, yet life will present something and it will feel familiar to what was before. Mm-hmm. Your nervous system only goes by sensation. It doesn't know past, present, or future. So if something feels similar to what was before, so my mantra was, what happened before isn't happening now. And I have to tell myself that with my body when there's big ruptures. Like when my friend was dying, I had to remind myself, yes, okay, the impermanence is showing up. It doesn't feel good, but we're not going to shut down. We're going to lean in and slow and steady in this. If all of a sudden my goddaughter had gotten into an accident with my car, I got totally written off. I had rolled my car 15 years before, so it felt like that situation was happening again, yet it was what happened before isn't happening now. Even though it feels similar, it's not what's here right now.
Yes.
To ground myself in the present moment so I can find my solutions.
Yes, I love that. Don't get stuck. What's happening now then isn't happening now. Talking to yourself, calming your nervous system, even if you have to do it out loud. Yeah. This, for me, has been a great talk, right? I still feel calm from the beginning. And that's just the truth. And I need to meditate more. I've been saying that for years and years. Every time I do it and I go through that mindfulness stuff, I veer off for a while and I always want to get back to it. And this today reminded me of why. And I appreciate it. I hope other people found something today with this too.
I hope
the courage.
So too. Yeah. It takes courage. It really does take courage because you're going in the unknown. And those feelings, they're tsunamis, some of them. So I don't have time for that. I don't want to really engage with that yet. When you do, that's where the empowerment is.
Yeah. Give yourself a chance, guys. Mm-hmm. And where can we find? You have the Lift Oneself podcast.
Yes, I do. And my website is liftoneself.com. So that's LIFTONESELF.com. That's where they can find the podcast. They can find the work, my one-on-one sessions, my emotional sobriety workshop. They also can find some meditations. So La Sylvia, if you want to do some meditations, I have some on there. On my podcast, I do these mindful moments also. So you can find on my podcast that there's some meditations that you can engage in and where I speak on something and then bring us into a mindful moment so that you can start putting these practices in, embody it in your everyday living. That's where you see the change.
Yeah. No, I definitely look forward to it. I'll be taking a look and listening to your podcast. And I hope a lot of other people do the same. And I will also be praying for Jamaica.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Do you have any final words? I always like to ask.
I want to ask, how are you navigating all of... There's a lot of your infrastructures that are being dismantled and changed. How are you dealing with the anxiety and the uncertainty in your country right now?
I think I'm being aware while also not letting it consume me. I'm not really allowing myself to ruminate on the negative things. I've never really been into the news too much or politics because, as we talked about earlier, it gets out of hand at some point. So I think I'm finding the balance between being aware and also just staying true to myself and that having that hope. Some people say I should be a lot more worried than I am, honestly.
Worry doesn't get us anywhere.
Yeah, but I can't be. I can't change it. There you go. I just try to stay present and positive every single day.
Yeah. It takes you from the present moment. It robs you from it. I want to ask you, what got you to create street psychology?
Oh, street psychology is something that I felt I wanted to share with the world because not a lot of people have access to mental health stuff. Not a lot of people feel comfortable with it. So I thought by putting it into simple terms of street psychology, it would resonate with more people, to give them psychological information, the way the brain works, the mind works, tools, without making it feel overly clinical. Yeah, just to let people know that we're human. We have so many different perspectives and experiences that while they may seem different, believe it or not, there are a lot of things that we go through that are the same. So to have people come on like you who share that.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, of course. And I'm very thankful that you have created this space. There are so many people suffering on their own. And a lot of times academia overcomplicates things. So it feels like it's not attainable. Where it's really education is you're supposed to break it down that like a 6-year-old can understand it and comprehend. So if there's these big terms, why are you making it so inaccessible to people? So I really love, because psychology is everybody. There's not just an engineer, it's only a certain type of population. Aviation's only a certain, psychology is everybody. So how is it that we can access this and not just make it that it's gatekeeping? So I really appreciate the space that you're creating, and more people are looking for this, yet it's a lonely space too, because you're not always getting the viral moments and the hits and everything else, because some people don't want to talk about this. They don't really want to get engaged with it until something happens and they're like, oh, I need to know about this. And it'll catch up with you eventually. So you're very intentional, and I appreciate what you're doing in the space that you're cultivating and the calling. You're listening to the calling that's been placed on you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do. And it's people like you who make it possible.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I want to let the listeners and yourself know to please remember to be kind to yourself, that you matter. In a world that always tells you you're not there yet, you're not enough, you haven't achieved, you haven't done, it can be really challenging to find that safety and find that kindness within ourselves. Yet when you do find that kindness and that you are it, you're not just giving it to others, you're actually being it for yourself. There's a transformation that happens within. And so that when you show up with other people, it doesn't feel forced or faked. It's just who you are, and it's the embodiment. And reminding yourself that when there's messy moments, when there's challenging moments, when there's joyful moments, that all of it is you and that you matter.
Thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you.